Well, welcome to Friday. So I've gotten, after I did my collagen peptides thing yesterday, I got a bunch of questions about uh, other peptides. And so I wanted to run through some of those questions real quick. So the biggest question was, what are these peptides? So when you're, when you look at what's going on, your body uses different chemicals as messengers to tell it what to do. Kind of like a big computer. You stick in information and it says, hey, run this program, and it does that stuff, and we get a result. So the body uses peptides to communicate. So for instance, insulin, which is also a hormone, is a peptide. Basically, when we look at what peptides are a chain of amino acids that form a protein, and we get bigger and bigger proteins. For instance, a lot of these peptides are between 10 and 20 amino acids long. That doesn't mean much to anybody, but that's kind of what they are. As far as being natural or synthetic, so there's a discussion on this, and I think all sides of this argument have a decent argument enough that I think they should all be respected. So, are they synthetic? They are made in a lab. They are based off of naturally occurring substances, and so your body recognizes them easier as natural, and so it is a smoother, easier way to get the body to do things you want it to do. Now, they are made in a lab, and if that is your metric for it's synthetic, then they're synthetic. So are the B vitamins, the D3, all the things that come in a capsule. So however you want to view that is kind of up to you. I view them in their own kind of thing, because they're derived from and usually are components of natural stuff. So for instance, BPC 157, which is also a body protective compound, 157 is derived from gastric juices. So it is a component, it is a chemical that is in the gastric juices that your body uses to heal, regenerate, repair, lay down scaffolding so that it can grow on top of. So 157 and TB500 are a little bit different, but the concept of both of them is that, one, they put down kind of a scaffolding. So, I use the term, it's like rebar in the concrete for things to heal over and around and get better, stronger, faster healing. They also, and this is, I think, the biggest key component, because the scaffolding is great and that's fantastic, but they increase the sensitivity to the tissue of growth hormone. Now, here's the really cool thing. When you have inflammation, your body is actually releasing a ton of IGF-1, which is insulin-like growth factor 1. So if you could then make the body more sensitive to it, or make that hormone, that growth hormone, have a higher impact on function, then you would heal substantially faster. So that's the idea between BPC 157 and TB 500. Now, here's the cool thing about that. The research on ligaments and tendons and muscles and things like that is pretty good. It's not as amazing, I think, as some people are making it out to be, but it is pretty good. It is, however, phenomenal for gut and really good for brain. However, think about where it's being derived from. It's being pulled from or derived from gastric juices. So if your body wants to heal the gut, it's going to create something that's going to put in the gastric juices and then push through the intestines. So, I love it for issues like ulcerative colitis and celiac and Crohn's and stuff like that. So those are great. Now, it helps, like I said, it helps with both of them, BP 157 and TB 500, help with regeneration, healing, and repair. And that's why people call them anti-aging. And there's a lot of terms you've got to be really, really careful with. We learned this from the stem cells. Anything that works really well and isn't 100% profitable to pharma, they will come up with every single reason to smoke you on. So when people were saying, oh, stem cells are anti-aging, they came out and they hammered these guys, and they're like, it does not make you younger, you're lying. So what people were meaning by anti-aging is that it radically increases healing. And so what ends up happening with aging is that we don't heal as quickly or as efficiently. And so what ends up happening is that you get a little bit of damage today, and normally, whoop, that'd be healed, but it doesn't heal as well. And so tomorrow it gets a little bit worse, and then a little bit worse, and a little bit worse. And then you have to stop and wait and rest and hope it heals. And so something that would take you, you wouldn't even really notice when you're 20 is something that puts you down for a week when you're 40. And that's just because of the way the body heals. And so there's lots of factors that play into that. Testosterone's a big one. Having all the nutrients and minerals is a giant one. If you guys don't have the rock materials to rebuild, regenerate, repair, your body's gonna have a really hard time doing it. It's like if you don't have any concrete, how are you gonna build a road? How are you gonna build a building? So you just gotta have these things in there as well. But that's what these things try to do. These things try to come in and be like, hey, look, when you were younger and you were healthier and you had all these things, we had a much higher level of XYZ. And so by putting that driver back into the body that says, hey, just go fix this thing, it's really helping regenerate and repair. And so people feel younger. They feel like they have more energy. They feel like their things don't hurt anymore. They feel like their bones are healing, their ligaments and tendons, their cuts and scrapes and all the things, their joint pain, their aches, all these things got healed faster. So their knees don't hurt, their ankles don't hurt, their wrists and hands and all the things that hurt normally because they couldn't heal in time are healing faster. And so they feel younger. That's what the whole anti-aging thing's about. So no, it doesn't. None of the anti-aging things we do make you physically younger. We're not manipulating space-time, but these compounds help the body heal more. And so that's where they're calling them anti-aging. I want to make sure I made that definition very, very clear, just in case I ever use the term anti-aging. So that's kind of where these things are. Now, here's a great thing about that. When you recognize that these peptides are helping the body with its natural healing function, these are things the body normally does. For instance, there's a massive difference between taking like an Advil, which is an NSAID, which stops the inflammatory cascade, versus allowing that critical design, my God, needed inflammatory cascade to go through and helping it along. That's what a lot of these peptides are doing. So for instance, like I said, when you get inflammation, when you tear your muscle tissues up, whether you roll your ankle or you work out in the gym real hard, these compounds help the natural cascade, the natural function of healing, regeneration, and repair to just accelerate and kind of move a little bit faster and a little easier. So those are some of the things that when they're talking about, that's what they do. So the nice thing is that when we start looking at things like some people have to have surgery, people who have broken bones, torn ligaments, things like that. Now we can use these peptides to significantly increase the healing time of those things. So all of a sudden, something that would take 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 weeks now takes 2 or 3. People who are older, who might not heal very well to begin with, heal much, much faster. We've been able to see these things radically decrease the amount of time it takes before people can get back in the gym, before people can come back to life and doing their things. The great thing is that this also helps with wound healing. And so if you have a cut, if you have surgery, whatever, the tissue is going to heal faster. So that the chances of it coming back open, getting infected are actually less. So there's a lot of benefit to a lot of these things. And we'll kind of go through, because I got all the questions I got, we'll go through some of them a little bit differently. Now, one of the ones that, again, 157, TB500, phenomenal, love those. Those are great. However, the ones that I really think are beneficial for healing are the secretagogues. The secretagogues are your tesamorelin, your samorelin, your ipamorelin. Those actually tell your brain, hey, why don't you produce a little bit more growth hormone, or in some cases, a lot more growth hormone. And so those are really, really beneficial. We've seen them be able to heal all kinds of stuff. Sports injuries, tears, ligament stuff, that's the type of stuff that if someone got hit in the face with a baseball, for say, we had to regenerate their face and rebuild their nerves and make sure that everything went back to normal function, that's what would be used. So these are really, really, really great little peptides. You can actually get, not only can you get the tissue to heal and regenerate and repair, you can get activation of the entire system. And what I mean by that is your body constantly makes little tweaks and little changes to make sure everything's where it's supposed to be. And if you, for instance, aren't getting enough oxygen, one of the things that we've seen in research with BPC 157 is that it can help increase angiogenesis. The growth hormones can do this as well. Angiogenesis is creation of new blood vessels. That's super important because if we can increase the amount of blood vessels we have, we can increase the amount of oxygen delivery. We can help increase the amount of waste removal. We can help increase, we can decrease reactive oxidative stress, which is what causes cancer and which causes, arterial plaquing, and it causes mitochondrial damage. And so angiogenesis is a really, really great idea. Plus, here's the other cool thing. Let's say a blood vessel gets damaged and we can't, like a valve issue or something like that. And so it can't, get the blood and the lymph and everything move around in it. Well, if you regenerate and grow new ones, they can now stop using the one that was damaged and start using the one that their body recreated. And so these are fantastic options for people who have, oxygen issues, blood flow issues, things like that. So these peptides are really where I think the next generation of functional medicine is going to go. I don't classify these anywhere near drugs because these don't hijack the body and force it to do something that it's not designed to do. These actually help kind of feed into the body's natural programming and natural function to just increase and accelerate things that it already knows how to do. It's not stopping processes. It's giving the body the tools it needs to enhance normal natural processes. So that's why I kind of put them in their own little category, because while they are derived from natural substances and while they are phenomenal at doing what they're designed to do, I wouldn't say that they're as natural as, say, a methylated B vitamin. So they're kind of in their own little camp, and which means that you're going to have to kind of recognize, hey, if we accelerate this utilization of regeneration and healing, we're going to have to feed it. And so what I mean by that is, are you getting in? Because remember, all healing is based off of energy, and the energy you're using isn't calories. Calories are stupid. It's adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. So where are you getting that? Are you bringing in enough fat? Are you bringing in, enough? If you're running on glucose, which is fine, are you using your glucose right? And so those are the first two. Then do we have the minerals? Do we have all the raw materials? Do we have the B vitamins? Do we have the CoQ10? Do we have the selenium? Do we have the magnesium? Do we have, all the things that are in that tissue so that we can build it? Because again, if you don't have those things, you can't build things very well. So you got to make sure that's up. And then I like to make sure the D3 is up, because D3 is actually a hormone and it carries ions throughout the body. So when you take that selenium, when you take that calcium or magnesium or chlorine in your body, what do you think takes it to where the cells need it? That's what D3 does. And so having your D3 high so you can deliver nutrients in is really, really important. And so these are some of the things we got to kind of have to factor in. So when you guys are looking at, hey, I've got fatigue issues, my joints hurt, or I'm going to go in for surgery, or I've had an injury, like these are great things to start looking at. Now, if you also recognize, and this is where the anti-aging thing comes in, the regenerative functional healing, long-term functional healing comes in. If you recognize, as I get older, my body starts to break down and decay, which is just how it is. I think there's lots and lots and lots of jokes about how, once I turned 30 or once I turned 40 or whatever, like my body just quit working. Well, that's why these things are being used. And that's, again, why they call them anti-aging, because you feel like this when you're 20 and you feel like this when you're 40 because your body's not healing as well. But if you can start to increase the body's natural ability to heal again, you will feel like you're 20. No one is turning back the clock in reality. They're just making you feel like you did when you were 20. So that's one of those things. And there's a lot of people who are using these peptides on a lower dose daily to keep their skin functional. So here's the thing. Your skin starts to look old because it starts losing the ability to regenerate, repair, and heal. And so if you increase the body's ability to heal, regenerate, and repair, it will make your skin look and feel and act like skin of a younger person. Not because you're getting younger, but because you're actually increasing the body's ability to heal again. And so it cleans it up. The collagen formation comes back in it. You start seeing some of the fine lines and wrinkles start to disappear. And you start seeing things get healthier all the way around. So this is one of those things that I think is a fantastic option, especially because we're looking at, when you look at how much damage is done to the body. And I don't care. You can pick any body system. You can pick the brain, the heart. You can pick the left pinky toe. Doesn't matter. All of those things are driven by the gut. And what are we looking at for BPC 157 and TB 500 that is in the research? They come from gut chemicals that are designed to help heal the gut. And so if we always talk about how important the gut is, well, then it would just make sense. I'm not telling you should or you shouldn't. I'm just saying logically it would make sense that radically increasing the body's ability to heal the gut would radically increase your overall health. So that's just kind of where that is. And so the idea of, if you were to take lower amounts of this to maintain those healing properties over time, giving your body that boost of, hey, you used to heal at 5 units a night. Now, because you're older, you're healing at 3. Well, I'm going to give you some added benefit. I'm going to give you some of these things back so you can now heal at a 5 or maybe even a 6 at night. That's why people feel like they are younger. That's why they feel like they're better, because they feel the more energy. They feel that they're healing faster. Their joints don't hurt much. Their ligaments don't hurt much. They can think faster and better because, again, as we start decreasing the damage, as we start healing the stuff, the mitochondria can produce more energy. They can produce more ATP. They can produce more ATP with less trash, less reactive oxidative stress, because they're more efficient. And the less inflammation you have all over the body, the easier it is for your body to utilize the oxygen to do something else besides fight the inflammation. So now all of a sudden, your body is working at a more efficient, higher level regenerative repair. All the systems in your body are more maintained, more well, I'm trying to choose words that are going to give you trouble, more well, let's just say regenerated, more well, fed by the body, if you will. And so you feel better. And so that's definitely a part of it where people are starting to see a lot of benefit from them. So if this is one of those things, and I would work with somebody who knows kind of what they're doing on this one, remember, you want the entire system functional. So you want to make sure your testosterone is where it's supposed to be. You want to make sure that your D3 is where it's supposed to be. And then where are your raw materials? Here's the funniest part. If you're trying to heal tissue in the body, you better make sure your saturated fats are up. What does the FDA and the medical system tell you? Don't take in saturated fat. Saturated fat's going to kill you. Your entire body is made out of saturated fat. Every cell in your body is made up of saturated fat. It has a bunch of saturated fat in the components of your cells. Your lungs work. Surfactant helps keep your lungs from sticking together and ripping apart because of saturated fat. Brain, saturated fat. So make sure you're getting your saturated fats in. Make sure you're getting your D3 in. Make sure you guys are getting in your amino acids so your body has the building blocks to regenerate and repair on. Make sure you're sleeping. These are the things that we kind of got to make sure we're still doing. But these type of peptides, this type of technology can help us to radically increase this healing. And this is where healthcare lives. We keep talking about, who does healthcare? The guys who are telling you about peptides are doing healthcare. They're trying to keep you healthy. They're trying to give you things that increase your health, help your body do the things it does to stay functional. So that's where a lot of this stuff lives. So you guys have any questions? Hit us up. I only got through about half the questions I had, so we'll go through some of this next week. But that's where a lot of that stuff is. And then also, I got a bunch of stuff on Pharmakeia, so there's a bunch of biblical function stuff on that coming next week. I just got to break it all down. So it'll be fun. But if you guys have questions about peptides, hit us up, get a consult if you have questions about yourself, or just, get some reading on it. These things are phenomenal, and this is the future of healthcare. If you guys have any questions, hit us up. Thanks for your time. Have a great day.